Hello, sixth graders. How are you on this fantastic day? It's Mr. Gardell. I'm down here in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm having a glorious day. I hope you are as well. Hey, we're going to take a timeout, pause, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to provide you with a joke. But you have to promise me something before I state the joke. You have to be seated. This joke is so funny that I'm afraid if you're standing, you may fall and get injured. All right, are you seated? Promise? All right, thanks. Here we go. What did the ground say to the earthquake? What did the ground say to the earthquake? All right, I hope you're still seated. Here's the answer. You crack me up. Oh my goodness, what a hilarious joke. All right, you can stand back up now. Whew, I'm glad everybody's safe. All right, by now you should have completed several learning activities, and I'm just going to scroll through these as a reminder. And I want to make sure you again understand complete every learning activity in social studies in numerical order. It's purposely set up that way to help you to be successful. Okay, so by now you should have watched a video on the analysis of painting. That was from a previous learning activity that you completed on analyzing a painting. So make sure you watch that video. The second thing you're going to do is using your prior knowledge. Okay, so you might not know the exact answer, but use your prior knowledge and respond to two questions that you will see below in Padlet. Okay, so you'll have to click letter A and then respond to the question, and then come back to this page. Okay, and then click the second question and then complete that question in Padlet. So make sure you complete both questions. You will see responses from all sixth graders, and I don't want you to respond to what they stated, nor do I ever want you to copy and paste what they responded. I want you to think about what the question is asking, use your prior knowledge, and simply mark your response in Padlet, and then make sure, again, as a reminder, complete both questions. Okay. The third thing that you're going to do today for learning activity is to read the introduction to Chapter 6, which is Land Changes Hands. Specifically, read pages 6.01. Again, that's the first page in Chapter 6, and 6.03, or the third page in Chapter 6. Obviously, you will need to log into your online textbook in order to access those pages. And then the last thing you're going to do is what you're doing, okay? You're going to first watch this video. Duh, you're doing it, obviously. Okay, thank you. And then you're going to complete Chapter 6 vocabulary. Some of you might be thinking, but Mr. Gardell, we've already completed 3 or 4 different vocabularies in quarter 3. I know how to complete this already. Well, yes, but there's a little twist. Okay, before I get into the vocabulary, I want to point out a few things, and it goes right back to our learning targets. One of the terms you're going to come across in vocabulary is treaties, and that's brought up in learning target 1, 5, and 6. And specifically for number 1, it states I can list examples of strengths, weaknesses, and consequences of decisions made on the issue of treaties with the Dakota and the Ojibwe. In other words, okay, what impact, positive or negative, and what consequences are there for the Dakota and the Ojibwe signing treaties? But who are they signing treaties with? Number 5, I can analyze how and why the United States, oh, now we know the answer to that previous question, how and why the United States negotiated treaties with the Dakota and the Ojibwe. Okay, why would the United States want that? What are they going to gain from having the Dakota and the Ojibwe sign treaties? And the third, learning target that I want you to focus on right now is number 6. I can assess the consequences of the treaties for the Dakota and the Ojibwe, as well as the settlers of the upper Mississippi River region. In other words, the lands of Minnesota. Okay, what consequences are there for the Dakota and the Ojibwe signing treaties, and how does that impact the settlers? How is that going to benefit or not benefit them? So really, I want you to think about those 3 learning targets as you focus on the term, okay, treaty. All right, let's go back to vocabulary, and I just want to point out a few things. First of all, you'll notice that for number 4, it states complete Chapter 6 vocabulary in Schoology. Remember, whenever it states that, you have to click on the date to actually get into the Chapter 6 vocabulary, and there it is. What I'm going to ask you to do is to complete it in Kami. So click on Open Assignment in Kami. And then what I want you to do next is, whoops, there we go. It's working slowly but surely, is you're going to ultimately define each of these 8 terms. And if you scroll back up to number 2, there's that term treaty that we're focusing on with our learning targets. So some of you might be thinking, well, I will just look this up on Google. Don't do that. Okay, Google is going to give you lots of different responses, okay, as far as definitions to each of these 8 vocabulary terms. Instead, what I want you to do is to go into the online textbook, and I'll go through this process slow. Remember, the site is nl.mnhs.org. Enter. Now here's the difference though, is I'm going to be logged in already. Okay, you might not be. Remember, your login information is student for username, 200 for password. And if you ever forget that, okay, contact your HOA teacher or reach out to me if you cannot remember what that is. And for those of you who have me for HOA, just a reminder, when you get into your courses of Schoology, if you click on social studies and go to resources, okay, how to log into our online textbook is right here, and there it is, username 200, password Loon. For those of you who don't have me, now would be a good time to pause and again write this down if you haven't done so already. Okay, so back to chapter 6, vocabulary in Kami. Okay, so now I have choices. One, I can go into chapter 6. Okay, oops, I'm not logged in. I was joking. I thought I was. So I'm going to go into chapter 6. And what I'm going to do is I can either scroll through the chapter and look for bolded terms. Here's a bolded term, westward expansion. Here's a bolded term, treaty. And then the definitions are off on the right-hand side. That's one option. The other option that you can do is actually use the glossary. And if I scroll down on my main page in our online textbook and click on glossary, our first term was westward expansion. So I'm going to scroll down until I click on the W's. And then once I get to the W's, I will find westward expansion right here on GL, which stands for glossary, 0.19 or page 19 in the glossary. So there it is. And then I don't want you to simply just copy the definition word for word. I want you to think about what the term means and then put the term into your own words. And if you forgot how to use Kami, simply click on the T for text box. Okay, and then you can simply start typing. Okay, I'm going to erase that. Don't forget to include your name. Okay, and when you are 100% completed with your vocabulary, remember, click turn in again, and then it will be submitted to your HOA teacher. So when I scroll down to page 1, I see a sentence, okay, that is similar to what I would have created before, except the terms are different. Again, use assimilation in Dakota in one complete sentence as it applies to the context of the chapter, which of course is land changes hands. And I'll notice on page 2, it's set up very similar. Here are 2 additional terms that are grouped together, westward expansion and territory, followed by treaty and ratify. Okay, easy breezy, right? Well, then it changes for the final 2 sentences. So here's where there's that little twist. So now, directions, your choice. You are going to choose 2 vocabulary terms, group them, and use them in a complete sentence. Remember, your sentence should reflect the context of the chapter, or again, in this case, okay, land changes hands. What you cannot do is group the same 2 words together as they already were in the previous 3 sentences that you would have written. But you obviously can use the terms again. So for example, if I wanted to use assimilation again, and at this time I wanted to use annuity and assimilation, I could definitely do that. I would simply type in annuity and then type in assimilation. And then I would simply type in my sentence using both of these terms, okay? As always, if you have any questions, please contact me or your HOA teacher. And remember, make sure you turn it into your HOA teacher. Take care and have a fantastic day.